Hello guys, welcome to our channel. We post amazing revenge stories daily. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to get daily notification. First story posted by you/Hanako. This is my very close friend of mine who told me this. He was sexually abused by his stepfather ever since he was 6, and was violated around his 8th year. His biological father died of a work-related accident, and his mother married this stepfather that she knew from her hometown a few years after. That fatherly figure soon turned out to be an abusive monster that was oh so eager to put his hands on anything that moves. His mother didn't know of the sexual abuse that he was going through because the son was threatened by death of his mother and him if he says anything. He was in an ever worse situation after getting bullied and abused. He was completely suicidal. He was debating on just jumping in front of a semi and end it all multiple times, but his mother was the only reason he didn't want to do it, and kept pushing on through it all. He started slowly making a few friends that helped him cope a little. On his 10th, he was violently molested and was left limping after his father went all out on him. He was forced to go to school the day after and was limping from the pain, unable to sit at all, unable to move, but he endured it and shrugged it off as an accident so that no one finds out what happens. He saw what the man can do. He doesn't want his mother hurt or worse because he told on this monster. Even the bullies stopped making fun of him after seeing that he didn't care anymore about what they did to him. More uninterested in bullying an inanimate object than pity. A few older senior students who were a mix of 16 and 18-year-old caught up to what happened and pulled him aside one day to ask what happened. They all sat down and talked. Although they knew what was happening, they merely asked to confirm what's going on. My friend who told them to not spread it as it means life and death to him, and especially his mother, let out all the information out of pure fear from about 5 or 6 behemoths towering around him and years of abuse killing his self-esteem. The seniors were not amused, not one bit. They were all hell-bent on making this man regret his life choices, and make him regret it they did. They stalked him, cornered him, and afterwards went completely berserk on him and brutally beat him up and made him hospitalized. They didn't want him to die, they wanted him to live and suffer from it. He was rushed to the hospital with both his arms broken on multiple points. There was more, but it will take this whole post just to list all the damage dealt. They caught him at the brink of death from all the bleeding and managed to keep him alive somehow. The next day they told his mom of what happened, and what he did to him. She wasn't just filing for divorce, she took everything he ever owned, all the money he made, and afterwards had him put behind bars, with a little birdie that told every inmate inside of what he did. Last he heard of him was that he was being used quite literally as the prison soap dispenser while in the pen. He didn't die, but he was left with a gait that would make even hot King Kaijo jealous, roaming the streets, shunned by everyone, and they still regularly tell people of who he is and what he did to publicly shame him for what he did, losing him any job possible and barred from many establishments, and was regularly stoned, hissed at and yelled at to go away like a stray dog. There was no mercy for him. 5 years of child abuse. A lifetime of hell on earth. My friend now is 26 years old, works in a decent place where he is beyond respected, his mother living with him, still single sadly, but he is now living a better life than what he had when he was a kid. He left the country where all of this happened with his mother and started working and studying, and now lives a more or less easier life, working as a vice principal in the nursery I work in despite his history. TLDR, the man physically and sexually abused my friend for 5 years straight, got more than he ever bargained for, got the beating of a lifetime, prison torture, publicly shamed, and hobo raised. Addendum, clearing up where it happened. This happened in Tunisia a long time ago. We didn't have the whole, televised horrors of society, but rather it was more or less a large section in the newspapers that people end up reading or seeing. Most of our TV stations, all 2 or 3 of them back then, were heavily regulated and monitored by the government when Ben Ali was in presidency. So it always either shows random Egyptian and Tunisian soap operas, or if it's news, it's mostly good news or political attacks against any opposing side. That was against any opposition to Ben Ali or anyone that was under him. Newspapers, on the other hand, were practically free game. They post whatever they want freely as long as they don't attack or offend any governmental bodies, president, cops, unless it has to do with a dirty cop, and especially the president's wife for some reason. Internet was also a rarity, only a few had it and used it, and it was mostly used for business and communication between family members. Did you know that in the town I was born in they just recently discovered that there's a device called the WIIU? They only thought that there was only a WII and that's about it. Insane, right? As much as I'd love to find the newspaper with the story, I can't seem to find it anywhere online, and I doubt he'd have a copy of I either, but I will ask him and see if he has it. But I will definitely see if I can find it because I personally want to see what they've written on the subject. I doubt they'll say anything necessarily bad, but they'll definitely throw some shade subliminally and call it a day. Here are some comments. I like the part where he gets to live in agony. Too many people call for the death of these monsters where what you really want is a long lifetime of agony for them. I think it's important to remember that there are different kinds of pedophiles. Many of them had violent sexual acts performed on them when they were kids and it fucked up their head. The ones with no history of abuse have no excuse, but the pedophiles that got that way because they themselves were abused should go through rehabilitation in a mental institute instead of being tossed in jail, because there is a chance to help them. This a-hole, however, doesn't seem to have the typical characteristics of a pedophile. That's the way they are because of childhood trauma. He's just a sick monster who deserved what he got. It amazes me every time that no matter what inmates were put in jail for, or if they're from rival gangs, the one thing that they all agree on is that a man never lay a hand on a defenseless child regardless if it is abuse or sexual. Inmates will make it clear to that monster that they are not welcomed in there. Even the guards/correction officers know this about the inmates in jail. Wow, I don't even think I would have the balls to do what those seniors did. I probably would have just kicked his ass, but they took it a while nother level. I'm not sure what I feel about that, but he definitely deserved it either way. Kudos to the seniors for putting their futures on the line just to save that kid though, that took balls of steel. Getting forward to today's second and final story by you/Mobman111. In my school during the time I was there was a lot of social stigma with being a homosexual within a school environment. No one ever came out publicly due to the amount of bullying and general assery that would follow, so it was a closed shop. I'm personally straight, a victim of bullying for reasons that aren't related to my sexuality, but a victim of bullying nonetheless. I knew I wasn't able to really stop this on my own, so I just moved on and tried to make their lives better through things like programming clubs. I'm well versed in my knowledge of programming languages. During my third year there, I remember there was a particular little ducker whom I will brand dipshit for this story, and he was relentless. His parents were strict Christians, but not in the sense of love and peace, more like hate and repent for things out of your control. They would let him get away with bullying the LGBT kids due to the fact that those fags deserve it for going against God. The school would try everything to prevent him, and in their defense they did suspend him for a few days, but after the shitstorm his parents kicked up for this incident, he was acquitted almost every single time after this. One particular incident caught my eye, when he cornered a kid who was rumored to be gay without having even been confirmed, and beat the shit out of him, calling him a faggot and telling him to repent, more so sarcastically, not in a serious sense. I don't remember the details of the case, but I'm fairly certain nothing came about of it, due to the lack of evidence, but the victim was scarred. I know this because he attempted to swallow a bottle of pills due to his desperation to escape the pain. Frankly, I'd had enough. I began to work on a particular program which was my first rat, allowing me to transfer files between computers, as well as run commands in admin on their PCs. This was in the before times before people were big on e-safety, which essentially gave me full control. I sent them these rats in various forms through disposable emails so they'd have no idea it was me. I then began my planning, downloading various files of gay videos, not for personal use, Kappa, and began to transfer it. I always made sure it was in places where they wouldn't ever look, Windows directory, sample videos, the usual, then waited. I remember it was a day when we were all in class together. I took out my laptop, sent a single command which was essentially a function to do one thing: open it all up. The greatest part about this exploit was that it also forced the sound to play through speakers as well as blasting it to full volume. Close UPS of the most depraved, poorly drawn, scat, water sports, yaoi shit. Once that was all open, I just kept resending the command each time they closed it, making sure to only do it once no one could pinpoint it was being done automatically. Obviously the school informed his parents, and as strict Christians, who remember, hate and repent, were absolutely ducking furious. IIRC, they disowned him and the local Christian community exiled him from the church, refusing to allow him back in. Without his parents, he had to live with his equally, but more accepting and less wealthy, aunt and uncle who constantly berated him for being gay despite his protests. It was rumored they signed him up for electroshock gay conversion therapy. At school, he felt the shitstorm these kids felt as well, being called gay, beatings left and right. Due to this he didn't pass any of his exams and as such was stuck at a dead-end job for 2 years of his life. Due to the events in his life up until that point, he took up alcohol as a suppressant for the pain, and as such was swiftly fired from his job for his ethanol-induced escapades. I'm not very sure where he is now, but I know that wherever he goes, he won't bully anyone ever again, and that is the branding I was looking for. TL, DR, dipshit, or gay me, no you. Edit, most people think I went too far. My intention wasn't really to punish him, more so show him what it was like. Whether or not that lasted to this day I don't know, but never saw him bully anyone ever again. Here are some comments. That's real ducked, but it's giving him a big shot of his own medicine, so good job even it wasn't on purpose. Damn. Well, this definitely deserves to be in Supernova Revenge. I feel bad for the kid that got bullied for supposedly being gay, but hot damn. I kinda feel bad for the Christian bully as well. I only say this because the hatred for gay people was probably a learned trait from his parents. And although he definitely wasn't in the right, a lot of people make the mistake of being jackasses that bully others as kids but down the road of adulthood become good people. Anyways, a great read nonetheless. It's ironic that devout, saintly Christians, who think they're sweet angels, treat other people as subordinate scum, treat them like shit, and sadly think they'll go to the purest place imaginable. I don't know what to feel about this. I've been bullied for being gay, to the point of being beat up regularly. It ruined my childhood, as I couldn't make any friends and my anxiety and depression made me do poorly in school. But I also know what it feels like to be disowned and to go to conversion therapy, not electroshock therapy. I know how torturous it is and the toll it takes on you. Now, after years of recovering all that, I've been able to connect with my family and turn their hate and ignorance into love and understanding. I know this kid is an asshole, a terrible person, but I don't think destroying his life was a good thing to do. I know you probably didn't intend or foresee such catastrophic consequences though, so I'm not blaming you. He definitely deserved a portion of that. Just being someone who's gone through much of what's happened here made me not want anyone, even this kid, to go through it. This is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please don't forget to hit the like button and comment below.